I hereby name this challenge Battle of the Underdogs. Let's do it. And let's do it now. That was a lot harder than what I thought. Hi everyone, James Robinson here. If you're new to the channel and this is your first time watching my content, first of all guys, I'd very much like to warmly welcome you to the channel. Thank you so much for finding me and thank you so much for watching. In this video, we are testing the Cobra SZ driver against the Mizuno ST200. And for me, this is a really interesting head-to-head because both these drivers are pretty much some of the most budget-orientated, cheapest drivers on the market, but they're still jam-packed with technology. And you see guys, when I say budget orientated and when I say cheap, I by no way mean that in a negative way. Just because both these drivers are at a fair reflective price point does not mean that they're not jam-packed with technology and can't perform as well as something that's very, very expensive on the market today. Now, which driver wins the head cover round? Because I'm a huge believer that the head cover is an important part of the club, even though I use a Harbour Town head cover and don't really use them. But it's still important. For me, the Mizuno head cover takes it hands down. Just look at that. That is possibly the best head cover I think I've ever seen. They're still boxing glove head covers, but nothing's perfect. And so while I say both these clubs are budget orientated and fairly cheap, they're obviously not cheap. So the Cobra comes in at £349. Oh, that felt really good. And you see guys, I'm really excited about this test because I've been working on my game and I'm swinging, I like to think, pretty well at the moment, so we know exactly how this video is going to go, don't we? 4 left! But for me, the price point does play a huge role, and I think that's why the Cobra F9 did so well last year. Yes, it tested well, yes, it looked good, yes, it felt good, it sounded good, it performed very well, but it undercut everyone else. It was cheaper than everyone else. You guys could keep some money in your pocket to spend on balls. Or lessons, hopefully. So I've been doing some digging online and the cheapest I've found the new Cobra Speedzone at is $349. Oh, that's long. I mean, it's right, but it's long. I mean, split those two for your first 2 shots. And you see, while this is a driver comparison, and I will talk you through the specs of the drivers and what goes on in them, I have done full reviews on these, so if you do want to see that, make sure you check them out on the channel. Also, I'm hoping that you guys are starting to see a little bit of a trend in that I'm hopefully swinging better. I had a lesson with Sinjin before the Dubai Desert Classic Pro, and I have been working quite hard at my game there, and hopefully you guys will start to see that generally it's not so much this, but this, or this. But it is always nice to have something new and shiny as well, isn't it? So there is that. There's the 4 left. Ah! So yeah, been having lessons, working on the game, swinging really well. Don't you just love golf? Now, I've got this Cobra Speedzone in 10.5 degrees, but obviously we do have the adjustable sleeve. I've knocked that down so it's playing 9 degrees, exactly the same as a Mizuno, but I do find that with that, it seems to sit a tiny bit upright, and for me, whose bad shot is a 4 left shout, sort of not ideal. Okay, let's hit a couple more shots then. Let's move into the Mizuno. I did play with the Mizuno outside the other day and really enjoyed it. There's the one. There's the one. Big high draw. Lessons paying off. Whew. And actually that is an interesting point. So I'm yet to decide which driver I'm going to use in 2020. I took this out yesterday, really enjoyed it. I took this out towards the beginning of the year, even the back end of last year, really enjoyed it. And I also took out the TaylorMade Sim. That's been in and out the bag, I'm really enjoying that. So guys, hit those comments below. What else would you like to see me test to potentially go into the bag for the summer? I do love the look of the Cobra down at the ball. I think it looks way nicer than the old F9. We've got these 2 kind of racing stripes that are obviously designed for aerodynamics. We've got the shiny carbon looking crown, which looks fantastic, and we've also got these yellow and red lines here, which just shape it wonderfully. That's another good one. That felt absolutely ridiculous. And I do find that with the Cobra, when you put a great swing in it, that's exactly what you get. You get an amazing shot, you get great numbers, you get a fairway as well. But then one thing which I found massively with the Mizuno ST200 is the forgiveness element. So you know now that as soon as we hit this, it's going to be, hopefully it'll back it up, hopefully. Or should I say I'll back it up, because remember, I'm the pilot. Right, are you still as good? Oh yes, yes you are. That felt a little bit heely, but I'm taking that all day. So technology in the Mizuno, we do have the stronger face. This is supposedly 17 times stronger than any other face Mizuno have put on a driver, as opposed to the CNC milled Infinity face on the Cobra. So you could almost call this a face-off. Who remembers that film? John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. Fantastic film. If you're young, then you might not know, but really showing my age now. Anyway, let's go some more with the Mizuno. The Mizuno, as I said in the review, as I look down at it, it almost looks too lofted. It almost looks like it's, well, upright, similar to the Cobra, and more lofted than what it is, but the way it performs, the loft has to be right. See, that's the one where I feel like with another driver I'd be shouting 4, but it's just not quite as bad. So on top of the head, just like in the Cobra, we do have this carbon looking weave on top of the crown, and that's designed so that Mizuno, well, and Cobra can distribute weight evenly to improve CG, to improve MOI, and just basically to improve your golf shots. The Mizuno does have, that felt bottomy, and that's gone absolutely miles. I almost feel like with the Mizuno, I'm better off missing the middle of the face. I know that sounds absolutely absurd and ridiculous, but the miss hits just seem to go so well. Really well. Okay guys, so before we were rudely interrupted by that mammoth drive out the bottom of the club, I was going to say that the Mizuno does have an 11.3 or 11.7, I'm not entirely sure which one. I think it's 11.7, come to think of it, gram weight in the back, whereas the Cobra does have a 14 gram weight and a 2 gram weight, which are adjustable, so you can alter CG. Obviously the extreme version does come with a fixed weight in the back, so you could say that really I should be testing the Mizuno ST200 against the Cobra Speedzone Extreme, but then the Extreme's still £349, whereas you can pick this up at £299. And you see, for me, that's where Mizuno have obviously learned from what Cobra did with the F9 and said, oh, you want to make a cheap driver, you want to make a really good driver that performs really, really well, pretty much performs as well as anything else on the market, but you want to make it cheaper? We'll make it cheaper. Nearly lost an eye with a T-peg there, that hurt. But again, look at that. Look at, how can I not, after how this has performed, both in its review and in its test now, how can I not game this? I mean, I'm swinging, again, I said at the beginning of the video, I feel like I'm swinging better, I feel like I'm improving, but it's almost like a match made in heaven. Okay guys, let's hit a couple more shots, then let's talk how both these drivers look, because that's a huge factor, isn't it? Shelf appeal does play a huge role in which driver you would buy. That was high right for right. Still done okay though. I mean, it's out of bounds, but it's done well. Okay guys, so we've hit 5 shots with each driver now, and looking down at these clubs, which one suits my eye most? So down looking at the ball, I'm going to have to say that I do prefer the colours of the Cobra. I do really like the 2 racing stripes on there as well. That really helps me kind of feel like I can line up a bit better. But then I do really enjoy the simplicity of the Mizuno. The Mizuno down at the ball almost reminds me of the old Titleist drivers where there's not a lot going on at all. And I absolutely love how both these drivers have an outline of a colour. So the Mizuno has the white outline on top and the Cobra has the yellow and the red. Does not look like a pair of glasses now with that light there. Sorry, I got interrupted there. So I'm going to say that the Cobra wins the looks on top, and then obviously when we look down at the bottom, I mean the Cobra Speedzone could well be the best looking driver I've ever seen for the bottom, which is important because we spoke about shelf appeal. How do drivers sit on the shelf? They don't sit like that, do they? Right, let's go some more shots with the Speedzone. Let's see if we can straighten this up a bit. Oh, yes please. Yes, please. 276 carry, 2008 spin, right side of the fairway. Go on then. And you see guys, as you well know, I like to be totally and utterly honest with you in these reviews, and I'm starting to get the feeling that when I strike this properly, it's a little bit longer than this, but when I strike this not properly, it's a lot longer than this. Pardon me saying this a lot. Now, a lot of people won't care about this, but with the Cobra driver, you do get the connect. That felt ridiculous. You do get the Cobra connect in the bottom of the grip, so you could use that to help you with your stats. You could use it to help you improve your overall driving, obviously in conjunction with a few lessons. But then I suppose for £299 in the Mizuno, would you just buy an Arcos system anyway? You see, now it's very rare that I talk about prices in reviews because I like to keep that kind of private for people. I like to think that people know their own budget, they know what they want to go and buy, they know what we can afford. But then it's really got me thinking this video, with these two drivers performing as they are for me, I'm going to be really interested to put them head to head against some of the more expensive drivers, the Sim, the Maverick, and test them and just see how much better can they possibly be for the money, because it doesn't matter how much money you've got, it's always nice to save some, right? Come on, let's go 3 more with the Cobra, then we'll finish on Mizuno and we'll see how both these drivers perform. That's the best driver I've ever hit. I mean, that's a bold statement, but that's on the line. Pitching 278. I'm glad that the Cobra's booked its ideas up. Obviously, it is down to pilot some of these shots. You see, that's going left again. Just turning a bit too much. Right, guys, this is the last shot I'm going to hit with the Speedzone. I mean, not ever, but the last shot in this review. I'm going to really step on it. I'm going to see how far I can get it out there, and we'll do exactly the same with the Mizuno as well. So we'll see really just how this driver can perform, let's face it, not in the middle of the face, because we're going to go after this one. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. That's another line ball. Right, guys, so great to see the Cobra pick up there. It's nice to actually put a bunch of good swings on it and get a fair comparison. Let's finish off with the Mizuno ST200 and see if we can really start to put this through its paces. It's funny because I almost feel like with this driver, I've caught the crest of a wave and I've got a real confidence boost with it. That could almost be as important as anything, couldn't it? You need to be confident with your driver. You need to be confident with your new driver and be confident in the driver that you're buying. But it's really easy to be confident at £299, isn't it? Yeah. Although I did snap up one out of bounds yesterday on the 18th with this, so that's always going to be there, isn't it? Another one that didn't feel out the middle, but it's done fine. Sound difference with the Mizuno and the Cobra. There is a definite difference. The Mizuno definitely sounds a little bit higher pitch, a little bit tinnier. The Cobra definitely sounds lower pitch and less tinny. I suppose that's a fair comparison. But then to be fair, I always struggle to kind of rate sound and feel because that's totally personal, isn't it? One person's driver sounds absolutely great while the other person feels like that driver sounds like trash. So it's just all down to personal preference, isn't it? That's got to be big. Oh, that is absolutely... Sinjin, if you are watching this, all I can say, mate, is thank you so much for the lesson. It's making a huge difference, and hopefully you can see a difference as well. If you are watching Sinjin, hit those comments below and I will pin it on this video and people can get in touch for a lesson, because just looking at those numbers as well, and Sinjin would be absolutely all over that. If you've not watched my lesson, the club path there, 1.3 degrees to the left, smash factor 1.49, ball speed 160, club speed 175. That is German efficiency. That felt toey. That felt toey, and it's another one that's just got no right to perform as it has done. No right. Okay, guys, last shot. We're going to give this the works, give it the treatment, just like we did with the Cobra, and let's see what it's packing. That's left. Such a shame as well. Pains me to say it, but 4 left. I love how that's become a thing as well, the old 4 left. People are commenting on Twitter, on Instagram. I mean, I don't love that it's become my thing. I mean, 4 left is a bit... Anyway, let's take a look at how this compares to this. So guys, we'll start off with the Mizuno because that's exactly where we finished. And looking at that dispersion, that was the last shot. So we kind of tried to give that the works. And apart from that one and one other shot, which was a high right, which still did very well distance-wise, that is music to my ears. I'm absolutely over the moon with that. A couple of shots have gone higher than the really good shots, and that does bring me back to thinking how the face looks a little bit too lofted for what it is, but then performance is absolutely fine. So it's a difficult one to shout, really. We look at the Cobra, and you see how that's much lower. That's much lower. It's pretty much exactly the same loft, and we don't have any that kind of really go... Obviously, we have that one there. But apart from that, again, isn't it funny how I'm favouring the right side of the fairway with that as opposed to the left side of the fairway? With the Mizuno, I almost feel like with the way that the Cobra is set up, because I've had to adjust the loft, maybe I'm trying to hold that open a little bit. Maybe that's a safer place for me to be, as long as I avoid this one here. Right, numbers. So numbers with the Cobra, you can see there's a kind of bad one to start with there, but then 270, a real bad one there, number 3. This is where I start to wonder about the forgiveness element of it. The weight setting was forward, and then it's kind of back to normal where I would expect it. So we have 268 carry, 285 total, 106.6 club speed and 159 on average ball speed. Average spin at 3,000, which is a lot to say that that weight was forwards. But then shot number 3 did spin at kind of like 4,008. So if we do take that out just to see, that brings the average up to 271 carry, and it brings the average spin down to 2951. What about the Mizuno? So the Mizuno, all pretty consistent, and I'd scattered these shots all over the face as well. So we'll see that the average is 270, so very, very close, 287 total, 106.5 club speed, 158 ball speed, and a much nicer spin number of 2684. So very, very interesting numbers there, very, very similar numbers as well. And I think for me, it has to go on the fairways that I've hit. Obviously, it's going to have to be tested outside as well. It's when the weather improves. I do apologise that a lot of my videos have been indoors, but the weather here at the moment is horrendous. But for me, it has to go down to ease of use and how much consistency it gives me and how much confidence it gives me. And the Mizuno's just got to take that battle. I almost feel like if I put a bad swing on the Cobra, I'm going to be affected a lot more than if / when / I definitely will put a bad swing on it at some point, and I feel like the Mizuno does just give me that helping hand a little bit more. So for me, the Mizuno has to take this video. Guys, hit those comments below. Which driver would you like to see in my bag this year? But also, which driver would you like to see me compare these against? Because it's fair to say that it has been a very, very good year. Well, a very, very good couple of years for drivers, hasn't it? Guys, thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please make sure you do hit that subscribe button below. Also, leave us a like if you enjoyed that content. And as always, I'll see you tomorrow.